Hey, how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? You are here because of two things. One, you're in my horror literature class and you need to write an essay. And two, you need some ideas and help on your introduction. And you have come to the right place because I have tons of ideas to help you. I am going to tell you what you can do, what you should do, and also what you shouldn't do. That's very important, what you should not do in your introduction. So make sure you pay close attention, and you should be okay. For some reason, people make introductions a lot harder than they have to be. I mean, truly, you can actually write the introduction when the essay is assigned. I mean, it's better to do a lot more, do your research and read your literature. But truly, you shouldn't be putting any real details or examples from the literature or even from your research in your introduction. There shouldn't be any real source information in there. There definitely should not be any quotes or major details. What you should be putting in there are just big ideas. Mostly, it should just be information. It should just be ideas from your own head. What are you thinking about? What is important about your topic in a big picture way? So let's talk about this. I have a worksheet for you to look at, and I think it's going to make everything much more clear to you. So let's take a look at this. Give me a second to present it, please. Hold on a second. Introduction, horror literature. Let's go. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So you've probably heard this before. A great idea when you're talking about an introduction is to use the funnel method. And what that means is, think about what a funnel is. A funnel is very big and it has a big opening, right? So a lot of stuff can go into the funnel, but what happens as it goes down the funnel, it gets pushed down to a smaller amount and it comes out only through as a very small stream, right, of information. In this case, it would be information. We're talking metaphorically here, not big, but small. So a good idea is to start with a big picture idea, talk about it for a while, and then funnel that down into your thesis, which is that the vampire legend has endured for many reasons over the years. So let's talk about this. Okay, so you're going to start off your paper with a few sentences talking about the big picture regarding your topic. The essay topic is why the legend of the vampire endured and thrived for so many years. Why? So here are some ideas to think about regarding the big picture surrounding this essay. So here's some things you can do. What makes any idea or legend endure over time? Heck, that could be a way to start your essay. Ready? What makes any idea or legend endure over time? And then answer that question for 3, 4, 6, 8 sentences, and then finish it off by saying one legend that has definitely endured over time for very many reasons would be the legend of the vampire. Boom, and then you're done. Okay, that's one way you can go about it. Now, other things to think about regarding that direction of going, big picture direction. If you're going to go down the direction of what makes any idea or legend endure over time, think about this. Is it the legend that makes it, the legend itself that makes it endure? Is there something about the legend itself that catches people's attention? Or is it the people that hear this legend and continue with it going on? Or is it both? Okay. Why have some myths and legends endured while others have faded away? That's an excellent starting point for your essay. Why have some legends endured while others have faded away? And then talk about that. Give some examples of other legends that have faded away. Give some other examples of other legends that are still out there and are strong. Talk about the differences between them. And then funnel it down to say, well, while there have been many legends that have faded away over time, one of them, the legend of the vampire, certainly has not. And it doesn't appear that it will anytime soon for so many reasons. Boom, then you're done. But that's just one way to go. Let's continue. Many more ideas. How about the idea? And I have a whole list. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more big picture ideas. Ready? The idea that people can be highly superstitious. And they certainly were in the old days. Now, why were people superstitious in the old days, ladies and gentlemen? Why? Because they didn't understand anything. Remember when we talked about pagans back when we read Dare the Vampire and the Bride of Corinth, the idea of there are many gods, right? And god of air, god of wind. Why did people come up with these ideas? Why? Because they didn't understand anything. They had no scientific explanation for the reason why, there was monster storms or why, there was a tidal wave every once in a while. Well, it wasn't because the gods were angry. It was scientific, natural stuff, but they didn't understand that. So they were very superstitious. So that's an idea because people were so superstitious back in the old day. Well, one of those superstitions, you can talk about it. And then, of course, you can say one of those superstitions that people had, and it is still going on today because it was so important back then, would be the legend of the vampire. Boom. It's an idea. How about this? People love or need to be entertained, right? what the heck else is there to do in life? You need entertainment. Think about COVID. You've been sitting at home for these last couple of years, or you did back then when it happened. And you needed forms of entertainment. And you know what? The Vampire Legend is seriously entertaining for very many reasons, right? That's a great big picture idea. How about people have been fascinated since the beginning of time with having superpowers, right? People want to fly. People want to become, invisible. People want to read people's minds. People want to be able to, control people romantically. Well, guess what? A legend that features all of these superpowers would be the Vampire Legend. And that is a reason why it has endured so long, because people wanted to see things that they could do, fantastically do, fantasy powers in the legend of a vampire. So it endures. That's an idea. How about this? People need to escape reality sometimes. Why? Because their life is boring, because, they're unhappy, because they want to be able to live in their fiction in a way that they would never do in their real life, right? And you could talk about that as far as romance and sex is concerned as well. It's an idea. Remember when I gave you my notes on sexuality and romance from the 18th or 19th century, and the idea that women at that time were not allowed to be sexual people. They weren't allowed to enjoy sex. In fact, they couldn't even talk about it, but men, they were fine to talk about it and whatnot, right? Maybe for that, for people as a way to escape their boring life and go into something more fun, right? Escape of reality, whether it's a boring love life or just a boring life in general. That's an idea. The idea of immortality. I mean, come on. How many stories have you heard about people wanting to be immortal, right? So that is a really interesting way. Maybe the legend of the vampire has endured for so long because that is something that I can't say all people, because I would never want to be immortal, but a lot of people like that idea, right? The legend is interchangeable. Another fantastic big picture idea that authors can take it any direction that they want, right? One, like I've said before, in one person's story, you can catch on fire if you go out into the sun. Well, in another, you can sparkle and glow beautifully, right? So there's the idea that it's interchangeable, might have kept the legend going on for so many years, right? Because you're not trapped into one thing. Also, think about this. When I read a vampire story, a new one, I don't know what's going to happen because it's interchangeable. It's not always the same. And that definitely causes people to want to go out and do more of it, because it could go any direction, right? How about this? Some people love to be afraid just for fun or to feel alive, right? A lot of people go to horror movies or on roller coasters so that they can be afraid. It makes them feel more alive. Maybe that's the reason why this legend has gone on, because it's scary. How about this? I have the idea that kids to adults, which means there is something for everybody in this legend, right? You have cartoon characters of vampires. There's no blood. There's no sexuality. It's just fun. You turn into a bat. You count a lot, right? Think of Sesame Street and Count Von Count, or Hotel Transylvania. My Babysitter's a Vampire. Trying to think of the other one. There's another one with kids. I forget what it was. I guess it's just My Babysitter's Vampire. But whatever. Let's continue. Was there another cartoon? I'm thinking, I've certainly seen Dracula cartoons and whatnot. So let's go on. People are fascinated or terrified of death, right? Think about that, especially, and you can tie that into the idea of superstitions, right? People didn't understand death. They didn't know what happens. They are afraid of it. Some people are actually intrigued by it, right? The idea of the afterlife and where you go afterwards and who you see and going to heaven or hell, right? All of these different ideas. A lot of people are fascinated with, and or what's the word that I'm looking for? Fascinated or obsessed with, right? Guess what? You can't get away from death when you capture the vampire legend. And that's one thing, by the way, that's one thing that everybody shares in life. All of us, no matter if you're rich or poor, no matter if you're a male or a female, it does not matter. Guess what? We're all going to die sometimes. All of us are. It's something that we all have to face. It's something that we all have to deal with. Well, maybe that's why the legend of the vampire endures, because it deals with death. And it also, in some ways, it curbs death. It can stop. You can read about an idea, a society. I'm trying to think of a word, a genre, something that's going on. And you know what? These people don't have to die. They can live forever. So that idea is something intriguing to people. They want to read more about that because they're afraid of their own upcoming death. And then, of course, my last one, there are so many churches, connections to the Catholic Church and religion. And think about this. How many people are religious in this society? I don't really know. I don't know the statistics, but I know a lot of people go to church, right? A lot of people are very religious. So remember, there's so many connections to the church in the vampire legend. So it's possible that continues, that has kept it continued, and it will keep it continued on because people are going to continue to go to church. So they're going to continue to hear about this. So they're going to continue to push the legend on or keep the legend popular. Now, those are only 10 ideas or 11. There are so many other ideas. I could come up with more, but I think that's enough. Pick one of those, talk about the big picture, and then funnel it down to your last sentence that, of course, maybe these are one of the reasons why the vampire legend has endured for so many reasons. The fact that people need to escape reality, or they love to be entertained, or they're interested in superpowers, or they're terrified of death. Those are just some ideas. Let's continue. Okay, so what you're going to do after you talk about the big picture for 6, 7, 8 sentences, then funnel your ideas to your thesis statement that the legend of the vampire has endured and thrived for centuries and will continue to do so for so many reasons. Okay, you will explain those reasons in detail in the body of the essay, giving quotes from literature as well as from research. That brings me to the next bullet point. There are no quotes in your introduction, none. You are going to save all that. Quotes are facts and details. And in your introduction, you don't give true facts and details. You can go big picture facts and details, but no ones that you are going to use to specify or to define, to bolster your thesis. That's all going to be in the introduction. In the body. So no quotes in your introduction, everybody. All right. Also, no major details into your introduction. That's going to be saved for your body. Every body paragraph is going to feature quotes and details that are going to explain your thesis and help to back up your thesis point. All right, let's continue. You are not going to describe what you are going to do in this essay. Nowhere in your introduction are you going to say, in this paper, you will learn why vampires are still, popular and prevalent after all these years. No, you don't say in this paper you will learn. You will just say vampires are popular and prevalent for so many reasons. That is it. In this essay, I will show you why vampires. No. Just say it. Vampires are popular for many reasons. I have described for you in this paragraph, blah, blah, blah. No, don't tell me what you have done. Don't tell me what you will do. In fact, keep I out of this essay. Don't say, I believe vampires are popular for so many reasons. Say, vampires are popular for so many reasons. Make it a factual statement rather than a statement of belief. And guess what you're going to do for the rest of the essay? You're going to prove that with your details and your sources. Let's continue. In the following paragraphs, I will tell you no. In the following paragraph, I will tell you why vampires are popular and prevalent. No, just vampires are popular and prevalent for many reasons. By the end of this essay, you will know that vampires are more popular. No. And of course, I will prove to you that. No, you won't. You're not going to tell me that. You're just going to say it. So again, look at the next thing that I say, and then we're pretty much done for this. Do not say, I believe that the vampire legend has endured and thrived for many reasons. No, say it as a statement of fact. The vampire legend has endured and thrived for many reasons. You're going to state it as a statement of fact. You're going to prove this fact throughout the essay using your quotes from your various sources of literature and from research. So ladies and gentlemen, that is how you write an introduction. You are simply talking about a big picture idea and then funneling it down to your main idea. I have given you 10 really good big picture ideas to talk about. The idea, the information is just going to come from your head, from your mind. Why are people interested in superpowers? How are they interested in superpowers? What superpowers are people interested in? In fact, you could start it off by saying, throughout time, people, not all people, because I don't think my wife is very interested in superpowers, but I know it's funny. I talked to my 70-year-old acupuncturist the other day. It's a 70-year-old woman. And I asked her what she dreams about. And she says, oh, I dream about flying all the time or being invisible. I said, really? You're like 70 years old. She said, I've been dreaming about that my entire life. I would love to be able to fly, Andy. And I said, me too. That's really cool. So think about that. People want to have, or some people really are interested in having superpowers and have for the history of time. Boom. Well, a really interesting place that you can find these superpowers is in the legend of the vampire. and then explain those things. Or some people are very interested in immortality, and they really don't want to die. They want to live forever because they're afraid of what they're going to find on the other side. Well, a legend that features this is the vampire legend. That is one reason why people are, the vampire legend has endured and thrived, because people don't want to die. And in this legend, they can do that. All right. Keep going. Feel alive, terrified of death. There's so many reasons. So if you still have a problem, ask me. But I think going through this, you should have no problems writing your introduction. And by the way, once your introduction is written, the rest of the essay will kind of write itself for you. I believe, I always have, that the introduction is the hardest part. And once you get it started, once you start writing, just let it flow and then finish with your thesis. And then we'll go into the body of the paper. Everybody, thank you very much. Have a lovely day.